Hi there, you are watching a ye old Comic-Con Modern Comic Review. Today we are going to be dealing with Superman Heroes number 1 by Brian Michael Bendis and Matt Fraction. Before we get into anything, I just want to... This book was clearly worked on by many people, so I want to give credit where credit is due. I also really like this picture of Superman that was drawn here. The writers are Brian Bendis, Matt Fraction, and Greg Rucka. The artists are Kevin Maguire, Mike Perkins, Steve Lieber, Mike Norton, and Alex Godlewski. I'm sure I murdered that. I apologize. There is a lot of artists in this book, and you can tell that there's definitely different artists that worked on different portions of the book. Doesn't really affect anything. I just thought I would note that before we started. Colorists were Paul Mounts, Gabe Eltreb, Andy Troy, and Nathan Fairbairn. Letterers Troy Peteri, Clayton Coles, and Simon Bolin. Brian Hitch and Alex Sinclair did the cover. And the editors are Brittany Holzer and James Rich. Of course, Superman was created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. And let's begin. We'll start with the cover, because I find the cover to be a very interesting. Of course, it says here, "The truth will set him free." Will it? I'm sure we'll find out. Also says at the bottom that the future of the DC universe begins here. So I'm really wondering if there is going to be some ramifications, some changes that are going to happen, that are going to come out of this book. I know that there's another one coming out called Superman Villains. Now, I don't know if there's going to be multiple heroes and villains issues. That I can't tell you. Nevertheless, I do really like on this cover the way you can see Superman's eyes in the reflection of Clark Kent's glasses as he's looking out at the Justice League members. So, we'll begin. The first couple pages, nothing much serious going on there. It's just sort of a reflection of Clark with his father talking about stuff like how he knows that he could do this, but didn't do it. It's very similar to the movie Superman 1 when Clark starts to realize that he could, be the best player on the football team. He could kick a 1,000-yard field goal. He could run for a touchdown every time he touches the ball. And, of course, his father explaining to him that, he's here for a reason, and that's not what that reason is. Now we move to this page here, this scene, I should say. I find it a little bit interesting because this is where Lois is talking about how things are going to be better now that everyone knows that Superman is Clark Kent, because a lot of the world has been thinking she's been having an affair with Superman this whole time. So one of the things that I wanted to point out here is this box. Here, I'll read what Lois says. "Last week when Lex Luthor showed up out of nowhere and gave me this, I told you I was going to handle it myself because he is not the boss of us, but if you're about to tell the world you're Clark Kent, then, maybe he should deal with it." Now, this is actually kind of a little bit... The one gripe that I have is that you never actually see Superman telling anybody that he's Clark Kent, or with any real dialogue. You see this where, they show him taking off the glasses, revealing to them that he is in fact Clark Kent, which again tells these superheroes, who you would think would be pretty good detectives, that they missed out on the multiverse's worst kept secret. What can you do? Anyway, Superman flies into the Hall of Justice, and another great shot of the Justice League here. Just think it's great. This part here is my favorite part of the whole book, when it's sort of giving you the reactions of some of the different Justice League members. Now, I'm not going to go over what everybody says here, but Wonder Woman is happy for him. Batman doesn't know how he feels about it because Superman has a family, and now that they're going to have to be protected. Robin, of course, wishes him good luck. The Flash doesn't know if he could do it, but he supports him all the way. I really like how a very brooding Aquaman says, "I would have told you not to. I hope I'm wrong." And I also like how Hawkman tells him that he relishes his happiness. But my favorite part is the part here with Dr. Fate. Not just because I love Dr. Fate, but I just love his response. He says, "I need you to come see me privately at midnight at my tower." Perfectly ominous, perfectly Dr. Fate. Gotta love that. Now, what we have next here is, I shouldn't have skipped this page. At the top of here, we have Booster, who's from the future, who is standing on the top of the mountain, yelling out, "Clark Kent," because he can now, because he's known all along that Superman was Clark Kent, and now he can finally yell it out, because it's not a secret anymore. They talk about it a little bit, and then they are going to go on an adventure. He tells Superman that it's going to be amazing because he, of course, can tell the future. Now, this is a great example of how there's different artists working on this book. We have the very colorful Superman page over here, and then we have the very dark and brooding Bruce Wayne Batman scene on the next page. He's visiting his parents' grave, where Wonder Woman comes up to visit him, and they go back into the mansion, and none of this is too important. They're talking about the whole situation. Bruce notes that he feels that it's a very bad idea, but what can you do? The cat's out of the bag, right? So this continues a little bit with Bruce and Diana in their street clothes in the Batcave, talking over how to go about things from this point forward. This part I found very interesting. Now, this is Superman going to visit one of his old teachers. Now, I find it interesting because he goes there to tell the teacher that he wants him to know that even though he now knows that he's Clark Kent, as Clark Kent, he never cheated on any of his tests, at which point the teacher says he knows that Clark didn't cheat on any of the tests, because why would anybody cheat to get C's? You cheat to get B's, people. When you get A's, they know you cheated. Just joking, don't cheat, it's bad. On this page here, we have Lois Lane writing and reading some fan mail. And then we move over to the next page where this is kind of funny. I actually kind of like this. Lois is showing Superman all of the different piles of fan mail, and they're separated into different types of fan mail. Superman naturally thinks that this is all for him. Lois says, "Sweetie, take a closer look," at which point he notices they're all addressed to Lois Lane. Superman makes the funny comment that that was presumptuous of him, and Lois replies that she agrees. She tells him that his fan mail is next door. Now, I'm assuming they're in an airplane hangar or something along the line. Clearly, they have a lot of fan mail. Now, once again here, clearly you can see we're working with a different artist. Now, this is the scene where Superman comes to talk to Jimmy Olsen because he wants to apologize to him for not telling him earlier. Now, what ends up happening is Superman is a little bit shocked when Jimmy looks at him and tells him he already knew that he was Superman. Superman asks him how, and he points out that Superman and Clark Kent are the only people that call him Jim. So from there, he asks Superman to take him for a ride to a story. There's that. And then we get to the epilogue where they've opened the box from Lex Luthor. We don't know exactly what the contents here are going to do, but we do know that one of his minions now owns the Daily Planet where both Clark Kent and Lois Lane work. So that's troublesome for Superman. And then on the final page, he sort of has a brooding or upset look where he's just exclaiming Lex Luthor. And it does say that this is to be continued in Superman Villains. So I have to say, not a whole lot happens in this story. But what I am coming out of this is intrigued. Does the truth really set him free? I would like to know. Does the future of the DC Universe really begin or change with this? I'd like to know. It's hard to say from just this one book because, as I said, not a whole lot happens. I'm expecting a lot more to come from the Superman Villains part because then they can start attacking areas of Clark Kent's life. And that'll be interesting to see how Clark deals with that. And the one last thing that I wanted to say is that if Superman was going to reveal himself, take off his glasses, show the world that Clark Kent is Superman, there's actually a scene that we didn't go through here where he's helping out some kids and he says they ask him if they should call him Clark or call him Superman, and he's okay with either. Now, if it was me, I would think if you are now revealing yourself to the world, you would want to fully reveal yourself to the world. Your name is Kal-El, the son of Jor-El. Why wouldn't he want to go by Kal or Kal-El instead? That's what I would think. But hey, what do I know? At any rate, looking forward to Superman Villains so we can see where this is going. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. It's much appreciated, much needed, and we'll see you in the next video.